Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Soul and Screen. In this particular video, I will be doing a review on Tyler Perry's Zatima Season 4, Episode number 8, titled Family Affair. Let's get into it. So, this episode starts off with Zach at the gym. Basically, he had already told Fatima that he was supposed to be meeting the boys, to do some stuff at the gym. And she had told him, don't be late for the photo shoot, the maternity shoot. And so he gets to the gym and he's running behind because he had just left the meeting with Angela and they were going over the baby shower things and details and things like that. So he's running a little bit behind. So he basically tells them, he's like, where you at, man? Like, where you been? And so he says, I'm sorry, I'm running behind y'all. Like, I had a lot of baby stuff doing. And Nate trifling self, man. Like, I was like, seriously, Nate, just because you want to be a deadbeat and abandon your kids and not go see them the whole time you've been out and stuff like that, don't mean that you get to, trip out on this man because he want to be a father and he want to take part in his woman's, and in the whole process of the pregnancy, meaning he wants to be a part of the baby shower. He's planning, he's making himself a participant versus just let me show up because I did everything that I needed to do by getting you pregnant, like a lot of guys do sometimes. So the fact that Zach is really wanting to make this special for Fatima, for himself, for his baby, I love it. But Nate's little trifling tail, gonna try to make it seem like, man, you doing the most. And so he was like, no, I don't want to hear it. So Zach, basically he's like, let me just do these reps. He's like, you're not gonna go change? He's like, nope, I'm running late. I already told you. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and get these reps in right now and what I got on. So he starts doing, his reps and everything. And, as they doing it, he's going through and he finishes his reps and Nate is on some stuff. So while they trying to figure out what's going on with Nate, these women in police uniforms walk in and they're like Zachary Taylor. And he's like, he ain't stupid. He I've been, arrested so many times. Anytime some, a police officer asks me my name, y'all look around, I don't know who he is. And so anyway, they basically this is him. And so he's like, really? And they, put him in cuffs and you're under arrest. And he's like, y'all can't arrest me without telling me what y'all holding me for and detaining me. He's like, y'all just call Fatima. And all of a sudden, the music comes on and they start stripping, in the gym though. So they start dancing and basically he finds out that they're strippers and he's like, nah, I ain't doing this. And so he's like, Tony is recording it and he's looking at the camera, Zach is, and he's like, Fatima, I didn't have nothing to do with this. And he's like, nope, stop, nope. Cause he know this ain't the time to tick off the woman that you want to marry, your fiance, the mother of your child. She full out pregnant. She going off on me for cooking her breakfast. So this is about to send her sailing. So absolutely no. So Tony basically realizes this ain't working. And they stop the ladies and then they, basically tell Zach, we just trying to figure out when we're going to be able to do something like this for you because, we don't know when we're going to see you no more, basically. It's just you about to have a baby. In a minute after you do that, you got you got your new company going and you about to be married. Stuff is about to change and we just wanted to do something. And he's just like, look, y'all, it ain't even like that. And then the women on the side, they wait a minute, you got us for him for a baby shower? Who do that? And they basically just kind of co-signing with Zach, this was a bad idea. And so Zach basically kind of calms them down and listen, man, some stuff is going to change, but, we still have time to hang out and stuff. And he's like, matter of fact, why don't y'all come to the house for the maternity suit? Because they were basically we ain't even finished. We gonna kidnap you for the rest of the day and hang out with you. And he's like, I can't do that. I got the maternity shoot. And they man, dang, see what we're talking about? And he's like, nah, it's not like that. He's like, matter of fact, why don't y'all come? And they was like, really? And he was like, yeah, it only makes sense for the two godfathers to be at the maternity shoot. So basically they oh, you making us the godfathers? Let's put a pause right here. Zachary Luther Taylor. Fatima halfway Nathan, like, you about to make him her baby goddaddy, and you don't think she gonna have no issue with that? Like, Tony, she might be okay with, but Nathan, is you serious? Like, girl, I mean, that girl is about to hit the ceiling, Zach. Like, I don't know what you thought you were doing with that. Like, this is gonna be interesting if they do have Zach kind of mention, like, to Fatima, like, I had them over, well, that's who I want to be the goddads and stuff like that, because Tony is okay in his decision making at some point, but I still didn't really like how he was egging things on in season 1, like when Zach was trying to say that he was committed to Fatima, and he was just kind of like, Tony a little bit of a follower when it comes to Nate sometimes, and that part I don't like. But hey, I don't know what they're looking for in a godparent outside of maybe it's just the longevity. I mean, they do be having Zach back, but I'm just saying, like, do you want them to be your kid's godfather? Because, like, you could just still be Uncle Tony and Uncle Nate. Like, you ain't got to be their goddaddy. In all honesty, out of all Zach's friends on this show, I'm shooting for Preston. I would think Preston, because at least, like, Preston, he come across like a little slow, but obviously he doing well for himself when he can cut a check for $3 million and actually say that ain't no money. So he got some business savvy. He understands, like, he got a level of emotional intelligence and stuff. Like, Preston is a totally different dude over here than he was in Sisters. So again, that's kind of who my vote would be. But I guess we about to see, like, how Fatima takes this as far as them being designated the godfathers. Let's see what happens after that. It picks up where Angela is actually going to Fatima's office. She just got back from lunch with Zach, and she goes to Fatima to check in on her. And it turns out Fatima hasn't eaten yet. She's so busy trying to get the stuff together for Sage, her meeting with Sage, and make sure that she makes the maternity shoot, that she forgot to eat. And so Angela's like, girl, like, you really doing too much. Like, this is too much. Like, maybe you need to kind of tone it down. And she's like, no, I can do it. I really can. Like, I can. And she's just like, well, Fatima. And so she was like, but you need to eat. And she's like, okay, that's fine. She's like, I'm going to go get you something to eat. And she was like, okay, yeah, a sandwich or some chips. And she was like, no, I'm going to get you like a salad and some salmon. And Fatima snaps at her too. And she's like, listen, I'm basically tired of everybody trying to tell me what to do and everything like that. So like I said, the pregnancy hormones is real. And your man, your best friend, and like the close people in your family is the one who's going to get it. Because right now she's like, you could tell she's getting to a point in her pregnancies where she's not able to do everything that she wanted to do and that she used to be able to do anymore. So she is having to slow down, but she's kind of probably feeling like she's out of control or losing control of a lot of stuff. And so what she can control, she still wants to control. So with that being said, so her and Angela get into it, and she snaps at her and she's like, okay, fine, Fatima, I'll back off. We just really trying to make sure you kind of, tone it down and you be safe. And, we don't want you to stress out. And she's like, I know. And she's like, but I really do have everything under control. And she's like, yeah, but just kind of just think about it. Like, make sure you enjoying your pregnancy. You don't want to be so stressed out the whole time that you don't really get to enjoy it. And so I thought that was good for Angela, coming in and reminding Fatima, that you don't got to be Superwoman, girl. You don't have to have it all together. Utilize your resources. Utilize the help that you have. Her stylist like flipped out at the last minute, so basically she ends up having to reach out to Belinda, who does hair, and that's how Belinda gets into the mix of everything. So in the next few scenes, if you fast forward a little bit, I believe Fatima meets up with Sage at the venue that she's looking to do her listening party at. And, they have a little bit of a discussion where she basically goes over the paperwork with Sage after kind of telling Sage that, she needs to really just really read this paperwork. Earlier, she had told her that, Sage had told her that she got people for that. And Fatima was just encouraging her to make sure that she, reads the paperwork herself and stuff like that. And so that she kind of knows what's going on. That's basically why she's in the position that she's in. So Fatima goes over the paperwork with her. They kind of have a conversation, I think about what Fatima used to want to do or something like that. But anyway, you fast forward some more into the episode, and you get to just fast forward just a little bit more into the episode, and after Fatima meets up with Sage and goes over the paperwork and all that good stuff, she gets to the house, and Angela is already at the house, and she is esteeming Fatima's dress. And Fatima walks in, and she's just like, oh my goodness. She kick off her shoes when she first get in, and Angela is basically like, she's like, Belinda not here yet, and she's like, she's not yet, but she on her way, and basically trying to calm Fatima down, because like Fatima has been rushing all day because she's put in that extra meeting with Sage that really wasn't supposed to be there, but she's trying again to show that she can do it all. And so she gets to the house. Angela is like, Fatima, calm down. She'll be getting here in a second. And then she actually does knock on the door shortly after Belinda. She's like, hey, well, actually, she don't knock on the door. She just kind of walk in, which I'm just like, we just got back cool. So you don't really get to just walk in the house, even though I did invite you over and to hire you to do my hair. You still don't just get them same best friend privileges, and you still just need to knock, even if you're a best friend and I'm expecting you. You don't just walk in people's house. So anyway, she walks in, and basically, they just doing everything to tell Fatima to calm down. And so they looking at her hair, and she's like, what do you think? And like Belinda making faces at her like it's bad, and it's like kind of actually like you need a wash too. This ain't just one of them things that you could just like curl and work over, like your hair is not smelling. She's like, it stink, and she's like, yeah. So anyway, they get into a conversation, and so Belinda, she just trying to pick up basically kind of like where they were left off. And she just start talking about, so she's like, hey, y'all, I'm in a good mood. You want to know why? And so they like, not really. And they, they kind of looking, and she's like, I think I'm going to tell Nathan I'm in love with him or something like that. And, and they looking at her like, what? And then Fatima finally says it. She's just like, are you serious? Like, what you talking about? And she's like, what? And they like, he married, so Fatima's like, he a married man. And she's like, yeah, but he been at my house and in my bed. I think she even lied and was like, he even told me he don't want to be with her no more. Now, I don't know if he said this like in previous episodes or whatever, or, off screen previous seasons, but he didn't tell her that earlier that day when he just went to her house, dropped her stuff off, and was like, I'm getting back together with my wife. So like, that's what I'm saying. You look at Belinda and you see Karen tendencies. Like, now you want him back. Now you lying and saying like he said he don't even like her, just like Karen, tried to do with Fatima. Like, he called me every day and stuff like that. Like, that's what I'm saying. And so she going into it deep, and it just infuriates Fatima, right? So Fatima she stands there. She's like, see, this is why I don't F with you. And she's like, what you talking about? And she's like, this is what I'm saying. You always messing with somebody else, man. You don't respect boundaries. Like, you don't respect marriage. You don't respect relationships. Like, you just don't have no boundaries. You don't understand the girl code. And she's like, what are you talking about? She's like, this can't still be about Zach, is it? She was like, it's about Zach. It's about some other dude in college. It's about Nathan. Like, you always going after somebody else's dude. And Angela, chimes in. She's like, yeah, you got a problem with messing with other people, other OPP. Like, I was like, that's too funny. So she was like, yeah. And she goes, I mean, Fatima, it ain't even like that. And she's like, what you mean it ain't like that? And so she, Fatima is really heated at this point, because she's like, that's what I'm saying. This is why I don't know if I could trust you no more. She was like, this, you always in somebody's face. And she was like, and so she's like, what are you talking about? She basically told her, what I mean is you better stay away from Zach. In other words, you don't get no more chances with this. Like, last time I didn't beat your tail. I shot at you and I missed on purpose, but you don't get no other tries like that. And she's like, Fatima, it ain't even like that. And she was like, basically letting her know how I'm supposed to know that. You over here talking about you about to tell this married man that you in love with him and try to get back with him. And Fatima was like, plus, like I said, I heard he trying to get back with his wife. And so she's like, well, this whole time they was separated, he was with me. And so, Angela's like, but you do understand that separated still mean married. And, and so she was just like, she just completely missing it, truly. So Fatima and her get into it, and she's like, Fatima, it's not like that. And then so Fatima, during all of this, and like, Angela's like, Fatima, just calm down. She was like, no, I'm tired of this. And she was like, Fatima, like, what's up? Like, this is a little bit more, this is a little extra. Like, this seems to be about more than just her going after Zach. Like, because, I think at this point, she want to be friends with you. So she not about to do that no more. So what is it really about? And so, Fatima basically tells her, it is a little bit about something else. Like, in all honesty, how am I gonna, how do I know Zach is gonna, still want to be with me with all this baby fat, basically? And so she lets them know, that's kind of the insecurity that she's dealing with. And she's like, and especially, and especially with his women like you out there, Belinda, who trying to lure him away from the family that he has. And what happens if he, gives in, and leaves me and the baby. And, and so she's like, Fatima trying to tell, so basically Angela's like, Fatima, Belinda, you need to fix it. But let me put a pin here. This is another kind of peek into why Fatima is like, ever since like season episode 2, where she's like, let's spend some time together. Like, women do that, right? You know what I mean? Like, you go from being this hot baddie into this person who is carrying a baby, and you putting on like weight and all this kind of stuff, and you start feeling a little insecure, and you do want to spend time with your man. Like, because guess what? He was all up under you before you got pregnant, right? And so it's like, so all this, let's run some errands together, that kind of stuff. And then her being mad because he's missing is because she's really just trying to get him to spend time with her like he used to do. Like, you used to want to be around me all the time. And now, she's getting into this pregnancy, deep into this pregnancy. And so she's showing and letting them know that this is the insecurity that she's dealing with. And so basically, like I said, Angela's like, Belinda, you need to fix this. And so she's like, no, Fatima, she's like, let me tell you, basically, when I did push up on Zach, he was blocking me big time. Like, he didn't want me. He was trying to get away from me in any way he could. Like, I promise you, like, Zach don't just want to be with you. He love you. He respect you. And so Fatima was like, got you. And so she was like, I don't see that kind of quality in him. She's like, you're right. I basically do be with other people's men and stuff, but it's kind of something that it's like this quality, this trait, this thing that they have, and I'm going to say it from a soul and screen perspective. It's like a spirit, basically, like familiar spirit. And so she knows, kind of what dude is going to do what. And so when Zach didn't come at her, so she's like, I'm telling you, he don't have that. He don't do that. He really only want you. And so Fatima was like, all right. And so she was like, basically, I just, thank you basically for doing that. While they're making up, Zach comes down the stairs, and he got this little teddy bear for the shoot and everything. And he's like, what's up, babe? And she's like, hey, babe. And, it's a little tense. He can tell that it's breaking, but something was going on. And so he comes down, and he's like, you all right? And she's like, yeah, we was just talking. He was like, but was you crying? And so he look at her and then he look at Belinda like he about to put her out because he is not about to be making my baby cry. So I loved how that concern was there. And he was just like, nah. And so Fatima tells him, no, I wasn't, me and Belinda basically was just making up, and so on the process to forgiving, I'm on the process to forgiving her and stuff like that. And so Zach was like, oh, okay. And so she puts her hands out to Belinda, and Belinda's like, oh, okay. So Belinda hug, and then Angela, of course, who really like has been the third party in all of this, and really wanting to, them to get back to their friendship, but understanding that she know Belinda did some janky stuff, and she's told Belinda, but missed them as a trio, as a friend trio, goes in and she gives a hug too. And then Zach comes in and he's like hugging, and Fatima's like, boy, if you don't move. And so he's like, call me when it's ready. So anyway, fast forward into it, and Fatima is dressed, her hair is done, and they are at the photo shoot, and just having conversations with one another, and they just like, oh my goodness, is you excited? The friends, and they like, yeah, and Zach is all, my baby having my baby, like what else could, I can't get no happier. And pretty much they, have the whole photo shoot, which everybody has pretty much seen on social media. Fast forward to that is after it, and there's a knock on the door, and it's Lori. So Nate untold Lori to come to Zach's house without telling Zach and Fatima. See, this is what I'm saying. Like, they just be overstepping boundaries here. Like, they just, like, how you gonna tell your wife, that to come to Zach's house without talking to Zach about it, knowing that his wife is pregnant? Because you know what I'm saying? Just overstepping boundaries. So anyway, well, guess what? Belinda's still at the house. And so she walks in and she's like, hey, Fatima, I'm so sorry. I didn't know it was a party. And so Fatima's like, no, it's not. It wasn't a party. Zach and I were having our maternity shoot, and we just had a couple people over. And she was like, oh, okay. Again, I'm so sorry. I did not mean to intrude. And so, basically she's like, what y'all doing here? And so she was like, well, the therapist recommended that we meet on, kind of a mutual ground, in a sense. Zach is, kind of a friend to both of them, kind of, and we just thought that this would be a good place. And so she's like, oh, okay. And so then she looks over and she's talking to Nathan, and she's like, well, but I didn't know it was going to be a whole bunch of people here. And so he was like, I didn't either. And then Belinda got her arms crossed and her attitude and her face all smirked up. And she's like, so Nathan, you not going to tell her who I am? And so Lori, again, she going to anger management, but she like, what the heck? So she was like, yeah, who is this? And so she was like, he ain't going to tell you, but I'll tell you. The whole time y'all was separated, he was sleeping at my house in my bed and on my couch. And I'm sitting here thinking, like, didn't they just tell you about going after other people, men? You know what I'm saying? Like, this man told you that he getting back together with his wife. You already, was crossed the line by cheating. Well, she ain't cheating, but by taking out this man. And your best friends had literally just told you, like, that's a violation. Quit going after people, man. Get your own man. And here you go in the middle of their baby. They at the end of their photo shoot, nice day, they enjoying stuff, and you about to cause some drama. This is why I say Belinda is basically Karen, and I know that Fatima forgave her, but I wouldn't trust that chick far as I could throw her if I was Fatima. I don't care. She just liked to start mess. And so I wouldn't trust her. But anyway, that's pretty much where the episode ends. Like, Lori does launch off at her, like, oh no, she tries to whoop her real quick, and then they intervene. Oh, but the last thing is that it gets to Connie's house, and Connie's laying on the couch, like she just got back from chemo, and her kids is in the back room playing and everything, and she's like, y'all be quiet, keep it down some. And then there's a knock on the door. Turns out it's a social worker. And apparently, I guess during these few months of her going through chemo and things like that, she has, her parenting has deteriorated to the point that somebody must have made a complaint against her with child services, to the point where somebody's coming to look at her house now, to look at the welfare and her children's welfare. This is what I'm saying again, Tony out of line. So anyway, that's pretty much the end of that episode. Please let me know what you think in regards to the storylines that are taking place. Are you enjoying them? What do you think about that whole Tony thing? Like, not like backing up his friend, and now Connie might be losing her kids, because if he would have said something like, this might be the one time that just because I made you a promise, oh well, I'm gonna break it, because you need to tell people so that you can get her some assistance, especially if you're not going to be there to help her yourself. You know what I mean? And then the boundaries as far as Nathan and always crossing the lines with Zach, you know what I'm saying? Like, he still don't respect the fact that this is not just your old best friend Zach from school. This is Zach and Fatima's home. This is a home that he is trying to build with the woman that he loves. He has a baby on the way. He's trying to marry her, and you just you just keep taking over, like just inviting, like he did in season 1 and having Deja in his pool. Now you inviting your wife over for conflict resolution, and he didn't even tell either one of them. So that's what I mean, like overstepping. So tell me what you think about that. And then the Angela thing, like real talk, Angela, you just now telling her, like, I'm hoping the next episode that they gonna be going through the house looking for stuff, because obviously homegirl been in her house now that she know that she got a key and everything. So now it's time to really look through the house and everything. So and hopefully they'll find that camera and all that stuff. But just the best friends is falling off in certain duties in this particular season, and I'm not really sure what the problem is, but I'm gonna need them to get it together. Anyway, please feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Let's get into a conversation. You agree with me, disagree? Let me know what you're thinking about the episode and the season so far as well. Talk to you later. Bye.